Hi, and welcome to the instruction set for your 3D Daisy bead mosaic kit. We are going to be focusing on some objectives and special things in this kit. The first thing you need to know is that you should have already completed a basic bead mosaic kit and before you do this, because I'm going to assume that you know how to do certain things. Our first objective with this kit is going to be to create 3D elements using art edge sheets. We are also going to use bugle beads instead of art edge to create definition and depth. We're going to organize beads to create specific textures and details, and we're going to create seamless color transitions without the use of paint. So let's go ahead and get started. You have some really interesting 3D elements that we're going to start with, your petals for your flower, and you're going to take your Aleene's tacky glue and just add some to the back of this. You're going to glue all of these parts down. Now we pre-cut these for you to make it really easy, but you could apply this technique to any of your projects if you want to add that little extra something to make them different and add that 3D element. So once you get all of these parts glued down, you are going to want to set this aside and let it dry for a while. And if you can, put some weight on them so that they smash down and they will glue down more effectively. So you want to get all of these parts glued down and set before you get all of your beads out and get started. Now the first part we're going to start with is laying your bugle beads, and I recommend laying a thin layer of glue down. If you get a little extra glue down, no big deal, just pick one up. I usually swipe a bead through it and put it in another location. That way you don't end up with gloppy glue. And because most of us are not perfect, we just make do and we make it work. So you're going to add your silver lined bugle beads to the outline of each of the flower petals. Continue adding your bugle beads on both layers of the drawing. So your back petal lines are also going to get covered with bugle beads until all the petal outlines are outlined. Once the petals are completed, you're going to add the veining inside those petals. And this is where you're going to use your bead needle that you were provided in your kit. And you are going to string the beads onto the needle, not necessarily adding a string, but you're going to put the beads onto the needle to create a line of beads, and then you're going to place this line of beads into the line of glue that you put in place above the indicated lines on your cutouts. Go ahead and continue covering all of those veins until they're finished, and then we will begin to blend our colors with the inside of the flower. So sprinkle some of the orange beads into place. Then you're going to take the other yellow beads that you have, and it's easiest to do this with your scooper because you tend to have a little bit more control over this process, and just sprinkle those into place. Do it kind of loose. This is not a perfect process, and then you can use some more of those orange ones and see how they blend in seamlessly into that area. After you pat them down, put the light yellow beads into the grooves for the 3D and 2D area. This is going to give you the shadow area behind, and then I like to add a few extra of the yellow, and what that's going to do is, details matter. That's just one of those little extra touches that makes it look more realistic. Before you start adding the silver beads into the petal areas, put a little line of glue in and double up the bugle beads to help camouflage that second layer that you did. Now, you won't notice that you have two layers later on once this is all completed, but it does make the adding of the seed beads much easier and it will look more seamless. The last part of this phase is going to be to add all the white beads and also to add the glue to this section. And this is done the same way that you would do a traditional entry-level kit. Blend those white beads in with your silver and your yellow beads And when that is completed, just pour the skinny glue on top of that and let it dry completely before you start the bee and the background. It'll make it much easier and give you a chance to do some touch-ups early on so that you'll have less to do later as well. Now this bumblebee is going to get some special attention from us. There are a couple of little areas that you're going to want to pay attention to. Here we're adding a double line to his belly. That is just to make it look a little more realistic. But on the outside where you have that extra layer, you're going to actually put 2 layers of art edge right on top of each other. So you're going to put that first one down and then you're going to lay another layer on top of that. Then you're going to add a glue line and begin outlining those with the bugle beads. The same way you did them with the petals, you're going to use the bugle beads to outline the bumblebee's wings so that it gives it some dimension. Once the wings are completely outlined, we are going to begin working on the upper wings. Now, the upper wings are going to be done the same way that you did the yellow for the petals. You're going to string some beads onto the needle, and then you are going to put some glue down on top of the wings. Those are the upper wings. And you're going to begin laying down the beads in straight lines. Now you want to do this at an angle. You can pick the angle if you want. It doesn't really matter. You can personalize it in that way. But you are going to lay these only on the upper wings. The lower wings we're going to do differently because they flutter differently. And we want to kind of create that distinction and that level of detail. So here you're just going to lay these beads down into straight lines onto the 2 upper wings. Just go ahead and fill in the other parts of the wings with your beads, laying them down to one level, and then do the same with the yellow beads for the bumblebee. Once that's done, we can get started on the background. You're going to lay the dark blue beads into the crevices of the daisy, and that's going to help create a shadow effect. Then we're going to begin blending in the lighter background beads to create that beautiful blue background that gives a gorgeous contrast for this piece. So lay everything down to one layer just like you do in your standard kit. Then you're going to pour the glue over the top of the entire piece and then let it dry 24 hours and it will be done. Now you will have to do your touch-up phase just like you would with a standard kit, and then pour that final layer of glue on it, and then you will be done with your project. I hope that you have enjoyed this, and I hope that you will frame it as well. We do sell 8x10 frames on our website, but you can put it in any standard frame and hang it up on your wall. We'll try some other Bead Brave kits in the future as we have them coming out all the time, and we also have the Bead Brave Kit Club, where you would get a new kit every 4 months that teaches you new strategies and techniques to create incredible bead mosaics. You can always find anything you need at beadmosaic.com. We have tutorials, patterns, other ideas, and supplies to help you create your own bead mosaics.